Hi, I'm Jordan Misra. I'll provide a brief overview of the 2030 census planning process, an update about the info we received through the Federal Register notice, and more information about the next steps the Census Bureau will take to share these comments with the public and incorporate them into 2030 census planning. As you may be aware, early planning for the 2030 census is underway. The Census Bureau is building on experiences from the 2020 census and identifying further potential operational updates to develop the 2030 census design. Early planning also includes conducting research and testing to inform the selection of the 2030 census operational design. We've categorized the 2030 census research and testing into these 5 enhancement areas: data collection, modernizing group quarters enumeration, integrating data collection and processing in real time, streamlining operational support infrastructure, and continuous data collection and aggregation. These 5 areas represent our primary focus for the 2030 Census Research Program. You can find more details about these enhancement areas, or EAs, in our presentation about the Census Bureau's 2030 Census Research Planning. That video is available at census.gov/2030 census. To help us build the best research plan for the 2030 census design, we published a Federal Register notice, also referred to as an FRN, in August 2022 to ask for feedback and ideas. Through the FRN, everyone was invited to share feedback on how the Census Bureau can improve people's experience during the 2030 census, with a focus on these 5 categories: reaching and motivating everyone, technology, new data sources, how we contact respondents, and respondent support services. 2022 was the optimal time to gather input that may shape the census operational design, because we will be limited in what we can change later. It was critical to receive your feedback at this point in the design process. We are grateful for the overwhelming response we received. Thank you to each of you who took the time to share your feedback and ideas. Now, let's review the 5 FRN categories a little bit more in detail. The first category was reaching and motivating everyone. We wanted your input on how we could reach everyone more effectively. We are interested in hearing your ideas about ways to reverse the trend of undercounting certain populations. We wanted to hear directly from communities who have been historically undercounted, as well as partners and stakeholders. And we encourage you to help us spread the word about the opportunity to weigh in and become part of the conversation. We also wanted to hear your ideas about technology and new data sources, which were the next 2 categories outlined in the FRN. We were interested in your ideas on technological advancements that could make responding to the census more user-friendly. This could include ideas on how to make it easier for people to respond on their own, or how to make it easier to collect data in person when necessary. Also, what additional data sources and methods for using them could increase operational efficiency for the census, as well as improve data quality. Simply put, we asked you what data sources we should use and how. We asked to hear your ideas about how we contact respondents and how we provide respondent support services, which were the final categories outlined in the FRN. You shared ideas on how we could contact households to encourage them to respond to the census on their own. What tools and messages could we use to invite people to respond, especially historically undercounted populations? And how should we reach out to each household? Finally, you told us your ideas about how we can support people as they respond to their census, whether online, by phone, by mail, in English, or in another language. What are the public's needs when responding to the census, especially historically undercounted populations? How can we increase access for people with disabilities? Now, let's talk about the feedback we received. But before we dive into the feedback we received, I'd like to tell you about the process we followed to ensure that each comment was reviewed. Every comment received was reviewed by a Census Bureau analyst and then assigned to an FRN research category. We implemented quality assurance measures throughout the process to ensure that every comment we received was logged, reviewed, and categorized accurately. We valued every comment we received. Next, I'd like to share the final tally of comments and some examples of the types of comments we received. We are happy to share that thousands of you responded to our call for ideas. We received over 8,000 comments. Thank you again. The thoughts you shared in response to the FRN are helping us consider new research projects, expand existing projects, and make decisions on the 2030 census operational design. Most of the comments we received, about 70%, fell into one of three categories: questionnaire content, reaching and motivating everyone, and field operational management. Comments in the field operational management category were mainly submitted by former census field workers. You'll notice here that we have more categories than just the 5 that were outlined in the FRN. We are happy to report that you fully embraced this opportunity and provided valuable feedback on various aspects of the census. So we created additional categories during the analysis phase to ensure we accounted for all the feedback we received. Additional categories were created for comments on questionnaire content, field operational management, and other topics. This word cloud shows a collection of the words and ideas represented in the comments we received. Words like data, people, and community were prominent, along with the words related to partnerships, children, and specific historically undercounted populations. This graph shows some of the word pairings mentioned most frequently in your responses. They included foster care, historically undercounted, housing units, a variety of words representing racial or ethnic identities, and many other concepts. These word pairings relate to the categories I mentioned earlier, which illustrates just how informative this feedback is. Now that you've seen the breakdown of the types of comments we received, let's see some examples in each of the 5 FRN categories. I will begin with the category that received the most comments, then work in descending order. Most of the comments fell in the reaching and motivating everyone category. These included ideas to partner with programs that serve historically undercounted populations, school districts, adult literacy and adult basic education programs, partner with schools and children's TV shows to reach households with young children, find ways to incentivize early response to the census, and emphasize the confidentiality of the census data collected. In the technology category, we received comments about using tablets when collecting data from households, using QR codes to access the census questionnaire on mobile devices, and developing an app where people can complete the census questionnaire and find more information. Other feedback included utilizing available commercial technology and partnering with tech companies to ensure that technology used is current and eases the burden on those who are conducting fieldwork. In the How to Contact Respondents category, comments included hiring people from historically undercounted communities to conduct the census, providing funding to tribes and letting them count their populations, using vans and buses to reach populations in low response areas, and increasing the number of contact attempts. In the Respondent Support Services category, ideas included additional non-English language support, live help through chat applications, self-response stations, and increasing call center capacity. In the New Data Sources category, comments included leveraging shipping data from commercial outlets, working with regional planning commissions, and making use of municipal data, such as utility data, public school records, and local social services data. As I mentioned earlier, in addition to the 5 categories outlined in the FRN, we received very valuable input on other topics, such as how we can improve the census questionnaire content. Former census workers provided comments about how to improve field processes, such as improving enumerator applications and allowing them to work in pairs. Other comments included input on making changes to data tables and keeping the census apolitical. Today, we've shared some examples of the many comments you provided. Starting March 10th, 2023, you'll be able to read the comments firsthand. Simply go to regulations.gov, enter the docket number USBC-2022-0 0004 and click Search, and then select the Comments tab. Here, you'll be able to see all the uploaded comments from the FRN. Note that comments considered to be entirely out of scope were not included. Here's what you can expect next after we release the comments publicly. This spring and summer, we're seeking input from the Census Bureau's advisory committees on the Federal Register Notice comments. The advisory committees will provide us with their prioritization of comments to inform our next steps for incorporating the FRN comments into 2030 Census Research Program. The Census Bureau analysts will continue the analysis of the FRN comments in the summer 2023 and finalize our decisions about how to incorporate the feedback into our research program. By fall of this year, we will release a report documenting the final disposition of comments from stakeholders and the public. Thank you again for all the comments you provided through the FRN. We value your input and look forward to your continued support as we plan for providing a better experience during the 2030 census. For the latest updates and more information about 2030 census planning, visit www.census.gov/2030 census.